Well, look, it's hard for me to imagine that the eventual decision would be not to build that. The economic case is so overwhelming. The number of jobs that would be created on both sides of the border is simply enormous. The need for the energy in the United States is enormous. The alternatives for the United States are not good, and on every level, not just economic, political, social, even environmental. The case is very strong for this. So I'm confident it will be built. But look, the fact
you've got other customers.
The fact that there are these kinds of pressures to take decisions, potentially take decisions which would, in my judgments, be complete, to avoid a decision that would be a complete no-brainer. All the more reason why Canada should look at trade diversification, and particularly diversification of energy exports.
Well, that's the Prime Minister talking about the $7 billion Keystone Pipeline project, which is sort of tied up in red tape at the White House. The oil sands are pretty hot stuff all of a sudden. You got celebrities protesting it. The oil field workers are going to be here complaining that building this pipeline exports jobs to the United States. And then there's the Saudi Arabia cease and desist order that was slapped on ethical oil. Alykhan Velshi is in Toronto right now. He's the guy who put the ad on the air. And he used to be with Jason Kenney. Alykhan, nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Don.
I'm curious, though, I want to talk a bit about the Keystone Pipeline. I just want to get your view of it. These oil field workers are saying it's a job killer. Stephen Harper says it's a no-brainer. What is it in your view?
Well, this is going to create, thousands of jobs in the United States as well as in Canada. Obviously, the pipeline is going to be built through the United States. That's going to create jobs there in a lot of states which have double-digit unemployment. Here in Canada, being able to export more oil sands oil to the United States is going to create jobs here. It's going to mean, for example, that Ontario's manufacturing sector is going to get more engaged in terms of creating materials that are going to be necessary in Fort McMurray and in Alberta. And so this is a win-win situation for Canada as well as the United States.
But the oil field workers are right in a sense. You're sending raw bitumen down the pipeline instead of refining it in Canada. You'd get a lot more jobs if it was refined here. Do they have a point?
Ultimately, it's going to be the market that decides the most, where bitumen should be refined. I don't think there are any political parties that are calling for, that are really eager for us to be refining that stuff here in Canada. Ultimately, I think this is something that needs to be left to the market. But in terms of the jobs issue itself, Keystone XL is going to create jobs on both sides of the border.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about your controversial ad. We should note that CTV News Channel was going to air the ads, but our legal advice is because there's a bit of a legal dispute going on, we're not supposed to air it. Are there any new developments? Anything happened in the last 24 hours about the status of this ad and whether you're going to keep showing it?
Well, the ad is currently on the air, though not, unfortunately, on CTV. The main update from today is that Foreign Affairs Minister John Barrett has indicated that he's going to raise this issue, this censorship, with the Saudi government's officials. And so I think that's important because this foreign dictatorship has committed an act of brazen political interference and trying to censor a TV ad. So I think that's the main update. But I think the broader issue is that you have this law firm, Norton Rose, representing the Saudi government, that's sending cease and desist letters to all these media outlets, but they actually haven't spelled out, either publicly in the media or to us at ethicaloil.org, what their concerns are. So this is Kafkaesque in the most literal sense, because they haven't actually explained what their issue is with the ad, beyond the fact that Saudi Arabia is a dictatorship that's not used to being criticized.
Are they suggesting that because you call our oil sands ethical, that you're calling their oil unethical somehow?
Well, I certainly am doing that. I make no apologies for saying that Canada is a more ethical country than the brutes and tyrants who rule Saudi Arabia and the blood-soaked oil that they try to export around the world. So yeah, it is my contention that it's better for people, businesses, and governments to choose ethical oil from countries like Canada and its oil sands than conflict oil from tyrannies like Saudi Arabia. And frankly, the regime's behavior in the last week, trying to censor a TV ad from appearing in Canada, this brazen act of domestic political interference, I think underscores the extent to which we should be choosing Canadian oil over Saudi oil.
Now, Alykhan, you've been around the business long enough. You know this is the best thing that could have happened to you, getting this kind of legal threat against you. It gave you all the attention you could ever want out of this ad.
I think you're absolutely right that the Saudi regime's behavior and Norton Rose, their law firm's campaign of intimidation, has clearly backfired. Our ad wasn't even running. It had stopped running on the Oprah Winfrey Network by the time the Saudis issued their threat, and it's garnered a good deal of publicity, including on this show. And you know, the ad is currently on YouTube, and it has more than 30,000 hits. And so I think this shows that those regimes that try to suppress the rights of their own citizens may succeed, but when they try to export those practices into Canada, they're going to get a fierce reaction, not just from the government, but also from the press and the average Canadians, because we cherish our freedoms very dearly.
Yep, good boy. Way to go, Alykhan. Just quick question: where are you getting the money for all this from? You were a one-man operation. Are you getting money from the oil sands now?
Well, we have we have on our website, we ask for people to make donations. I think there's a lot of people who work in Canada's oil sands sector, welders and pipe fitters and pump crane operators in Fort McMurray, as well as geologists in Calgary, who've donated. People from across the country have given money, but we do have one rock-solid rule, which is that unlike environmental organizations like Greenpeace, we will not accept any foreign money, whether it's from foreign corporations, foreign governments, foreign foundations, or any foreign lobbyists. This is a 100% Canadian operation.
Okay, Alykhan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. Up
Thanks
next,
for having me.
It was